Hi, I'm Ramona. I'm a volunteer genealogist. Welcome to my channel and thank you for visiting. This video is for entertainment only. This video focuses on online searches for historic publications for genealogy research, and I am assuming that you're already familiar with the Family Search website and that you are researching in the U.S. When researching your family history, it's important to remember who, what, why, when, where, and how when building your family stories. In this video, I'll be sharing some tips for finding records, and I hope you find these tips helpful. I'd like to give credit to Deb Dway for this wildcard tip. Particularly in the 1800s, surnames had variable spellings that could sometimes be challenging when looking up old records and publications. Also, sometimes surnames were misspelled or surname spellings were intentionally changed. Some people find it helpful to type an asterisk within a search term to account for variable spellings involving multiple letters. For example, you could type the first few letters of a surname and then an asterisk for the last part of the last name where there might have been variable spellings within the last name. Another example would be that some people type revolution asterisk when searching for the term Revolutionary War. Another tool is to use a question mark within a search term to account for variable spelling for one letter. For example, I've seen the surname Rafin spelled ending in UN and other spellings ending in AN in documents. A question mark could be substituted for the vowel when doing the search. This wildcard tip does not work on all websites, but can be useful on some websites. If the wildcard tip isn't working, simply searching variable spellings and misspellings is another option when searching genealogy websites. With that, let's jump right in to looking at books. Family Search has a Books tab that has an extensive online collection of books that you can search. There are some wonderful finds in here that are unique to Family Search and books that are not found in other websites. While I'm going to be talking about other resources for books later, some documents in Family Search's book section have full access, where you can read the entire book online. Others are not fully viewable online, but may show a preview, and this depends upon the book. In this example, I typed the surname Willis in the keyword search section for books, and this manuscript by author E.P. Willis appeared. This is a manuscript from the 1930s and is fully available to read online. Another way to research is by typing in a place name in the keyword search section. In this example, I've typed in Setzdorf, which was a village in Austria. The resulting manuscript that appeared in the search results is fully available to read online. Something to consider is that, particularly in Europe, boundaries changed and place names changed in some areas. The geographic location of the village of Setzdorf, Austria, is now Vipina, Czech Republic. But if I had typed in Vipina in the search box, this manuscript would not have appeared, since the manuscript does not mention Vipina. The family that I was researching immigrated from Setzdorf, Austria, to Ironton, Ohio in the 1850s. And although the family that I was researching was not mentioned directly as part of this manuscript, this manuscript helped further understanding by describing the general lifestyle of the village farmers, the timelines and the reasons for immigration to the United States from Setzdorf, and basically insight into the local way of life and the villagers. This is an example of why learning the local history of the area where your ancestors lived can be so enlightening and provide context for the records that you find. Another place for looking at historic books is books.google.com. I found it very helpful that the drop-down includes an option to select 19th century. This makes it easy to search for books from the 1800s. When you do a search for books without specifying a time period, the results frequently include contemporary books that are available for sale and often have links for purchase. With the volunteer genealogy work that I do, I am generally looking for books that were published in the 1800s and early 1900s where the copyright has expired. In this example, I searched for an ancestor who lived in the early 1800s, and the top result was in this book, The Minutes of the Ohio Conference of Methodists, dated 1852. Based on other research on this family, I know that the family was Methodist and that the information within this book was pertinent to my research. In other words, the name, place, age, and other information showed that the information in this book was a match to the ancestor that I was looking for and was not another person with the same name. This is an excerpt from a book from the 1920s. It includes a biography of E.P. Willis, the author of the manuscript that I mentioned earlier in the Books tab of Family Search about the Willis family. This type of book, a collection of biographies of prominent men, was commonly published. Since E.P. Willis was living at the time, we presume that he provided the published information. Many of the biographical books that were published during this time do not include photos, so it's a little bit unusual, but it's very nice that this one did. E.P. Willis stands for Eugene Pearl Willis. He was known to the family as Pearl Willis. I wanted to mention this because the use of names has changed over the years, and Pearl was given as a male name to some of the boys born in the 1800s. The name Beverly was also given as a male name in the 1800s, so you have to be careful when you're looking at records. General searching with a search engine such as Google can also be helpful in some circumstances. When I was helping a family with their research, we Googled the name of an ancestor And this transcript of a court case from Maryland in 1907 appeared in the search results. The biographical information in the summary matched the information that we already had from census records and from other records and from family records, so we knew that it was a match to the ancestor. This 1907 court case set a precedent and was summarized on more than one website. So this situation was unusual. When using a search engine, you have to be very careful about asking the questions when you get the results of who, what, why, when, where, and how, to be sure you are correctly identifying the ancestor, the time period, the geographic location, and other factors, and that it's not a different individual with the same or the similar name. Archive.org is very helpful in researching books. Again, this is a free website. In this example, an annual report from 1848 includes the name of the ancestor that I was searching, and it gives information about his occupation, which matched what was in census records and other data the family had previously found from other sources. There is a vast quantity of historical books on archive.org. When I typed the ancestor's name into the search box, the results were highlighted through the search results. Gutenberg.org is the website for Project Gutenberg and has a large collection of books. I found this website helpful in searching for books from the 1800s on topics related to geography and historical occupations. Those types of books can help provide more historical context for your research. Ancestry is the best known of the genealogy websites, and some public libraries offer access to library patrons while the patrons are inside the library. You would need to check with your local library to find out whether they offer this. At my local library, patrons can use the library's computers to search on Ancestry by first going to that library's website and searching the digital resources that the library offers and clicking on Ancestry. Patrons can also bring their own laptop computers into the library, use the library's Wi-Fi connection, and go to the library's website list of digital resources, go to the genealogy section, and access Ancestry's data. If you are interested, ask your local library about Ancestry's library edition. Please be aware that there is a library edition of Ancestry as well as other versions. Another place to access the library version of Ancestry is through a family history library. FamilySearch.org has information about family history library locations and hours. Some public libraries also offer access to Heritage Quest, and many public libraries allow this access to patrons from their homes by logging into the library website with their library card and password from home. Heritage Quest is one of my favorite resources for genealogy resources. I have found the U.S. Census database, city directories, agricultural and industrial schedules, Revolutionary War records, and Canada Census data to be very helpful. In addition, Heritage Quest has other databases that are also helpful. This is an excerpt from the Ironton, Ohio 1902 city directory. Notice that the wife's name are in parentheses following the husband's name. The city directory also lists occupation and street address information in most cases. This information can be compared with census data to ensure accuracy in your research. Since city directories are limited to certain cities, with rural areas you may want to take a look at historic maps instead. Returning to Family Search website and the Catalog tab, there is a link in the lower right-hand corner for Archive Grid, which is a useful finding aid and has some digital records and online manuscripts. Going to Family Search and clicking this link is an easy way to find Archive Grid. There are many resources listed on Archive Grid that give information about repositories for historic data. One of my favorite websites is Chronicling America from the Library of Congress. This website is extremely useful in researching historic newspapers from across the U.S. I am generally researching the 1800s and early 1900s U.S. newspapers. Chronicling America contains select newspapers that have been digitized. However, there are many newspapers that have not been digitized and are not online. Also, there are some newspapers that have been digitized but are available only on pay sites. In Chronicling America, you can narrow your search geographically and by time period, and there is an option to search phrases. In particular, I've had success in finding newspaper articles for families with unusual surnames. This example is from a Maryland newspaper from 1887. The search term that I typed in the search box is highlighted in red in the search result. Before finding this newspaper article, the family had researched census records and other family history information, including place, time, and occupation, so we knew that this article was a match for the ancestor that we were researching. In the 1800s, there were many German immigrants to the United States. And you may occasionally come across German language newspapers in Chronicling America's collection. This is a newspaper excerpt from 1903 from Baltimore, Maryland. Chronicling America highlighted the search term in red in the search results in this article. Google Translate can be helpful in getting a loose translation. Chronicling America has a U.S. newspaper directory tab, and this can be very helpful. I wanted to find the location of the repository of historic newspaper archives for Ironton, Ohio, for example. I looked up the newspaper listings for Ironton, Ohio, and this list of results appeared. I clicked on the newspaper that I was interested in reading, and the name of the library that has this newspaper on microfilm is listed. And the listing includes the years of the newspaper that the library has on microfilm. I visited a library in Ohio in person to read the newspapers on microfilm. If you do this, it's a good idea to call ahead and speak with a librarian to confirm that they have the years that you are interested in for the newspaper that you want to read, and to let them know when you plan to visit. Some libraries request that you notify them some days in advance so that they can have the records that you want to look at available. And some libraries need time to retrieve records from their archives at other locations prior to your visit. I talked to the librarian about parking, library hours, and location before visiting. The library also gave me information about the microfilm readers and showed me how to use the microfilm reader when I arrived. The library suggested that I bring a USB stick to save newspaper articles on from the microfilm reader. Good communication with the library before you arrive helps your visit go smoothly. Newspaper documentation can be especially helpful when researching for a lineage society. Be sure to check the lineage organization's requirements first. Another possible resource is the local or regional library for the county you are researching. Some libraries have genealogy departments with librarians who can direct you to helpful resources. In rare situations, the library may have digitized newspaper archives, as in this example. I found many interesting newspaper articles about Ohio ancestors on this website for this county. Some libraries have special collections departments that have a wealth of genealogy books. If you are doing research for a lineage organization, be sure to check their documentation requirements. If there is a local group of genealogists or local historic society, consider joining. It's a great way to network and support each other as we do our genealogy research. Thank you for listening. Please tell me in your comments below what your most helpful research tip is. Have a great day.